On this week's KSP News Show, all new fairings revealed as well as new scanning parts. And we take a look at some of the smaller changes for KSP 1.0. All that and more on this week's KSP News Show. Reporting live from the Kerbal Space Center, it's your host, Jinli Kerman. Good morning, evening and afternoon, my fellow Kerbonauts. My name is Jinli Kerman. Welcome back to this week's KSP News Show. 1.0 is drawing ever closer as the weeks roll by. As we heard last week, it is now in experimentals, and now some of the parts that will be included with the update have been revealed. So yeah, let's go straight onto those. That's right, we are not mucking around with pleasantries this week. We are getting straight into this news because it is pretty awesome. Kerbal Space Program on their Facebook page announced what had happened in Squadcast on Saturday morning, I believe it was, and they posted this on their Facebook page along with an image. The image on screen now shows, and it says, today on Kerbalcast, Max Maps shared 2 images of the upcoming Fairings system. Fairings are a major part of rocket design, but so far we were not implementing them into KSP. The test teams love the implementation, and we don't blame them. Apart from the 2 Fairings related images, Max also showed a new part meant for satellites, which scans planet surfaces for ore deposits. View all the pictures here, and it has an IMG link, which I shall also give to you in the description down below. So let's take a look at the image in the actual Facebook post itself. It shows all the different types of fairings that there are. You can see that there are different sorts of cones for the top. You can see that there is a standardized nose cone, and you can also see that there are different sorts. You can see that there's expanded bases, adapter fairings that you can see off to the right hand side there. You can see that there's an expanded base, which is what the satellite part is actually in when you look at it. And you can see that there is a size difference depending on the actual decoupler fairing base for it. So I'm guessing that the one that's been shown off here is for the 1.25 meter parts, because this does look like a 1.25 meter satellite. But I'm guessing, and I'm guessing will probably be implemented at some point, will be a 2.5 and 3.75 meter variants. They'll probably look much the same, except they'll be obviously larger and everything. And I think that these fairings do look quite cool. If we move on to this next image here, which will go on screen now, you can see just how these fairings will actually work. So you can see that you put them together yourself, a lot like the KW rocketry variant. Only unlike the KW rocketry fairings, you have a lot more scope to design odd shapes of fairings and stuff like that. Like here, you can see 2 fairings on top of one another. With the smaller payload being in the bottom and the larger one being on the top. Both are separately decouplable, I'm guessing so. And I think this is pretty cool because it means that you can actually you can vary your fairing designs a lot more than you could perhaps in the past with, say, mods such as procedural fairings and KW fairings. It allows for a lot more customization, and it means you can make some really crazy looking rockets. And I think that's pretty cool because crazy looking rockets are basically what Kerbal Space Program is about. It also adds an element of realism if you do actually want to go down that route. And personally, I like the design that Squad have gone with these different fairings. It's very simplistic, very cheap looking, which obviously these fairings are going to be cheap because you're throwing them away. I mean, you wouldn't really want to recycle like a fairing shell, but it will. I wonder how they'll actually implement that with part recyclability. That remains to be seen, but yeah, I like the little gold stripe on them as well, just to show. I just think it adds a little bit of flair. Coming on to the actual satellite part though, which you probably already saw in the first image, but we got a closer look of it here. You can see that it's quite large, and I think it looks quite unsightly on the Stay Putnik probe. I think it looks odd on that, to say the least. I think it'll look better with the Octocube or whatever it is. I can't remember the name of the probe cores now, but I think it'll look better with the squarer probe cores, the ones that are actually more like boxes rather than, say, a sphere on top of a on top of a load of batteries. But I think that this is just an element for the resources system. And I've already talked about this in a separate KSP News video, so feel free to go and check that out. I think it's one from a couple of weeks ago, so it'll be probably 32 or 33. Go and check that out if you want to see me cover the resources system in more detail. But what do you guys think about these new fairings, about these new parts? Let me know in the comments down below, because as always, I'm very interested to know. But on to the perhaps smaller things regarding 1.0, which have been revealed this week. Let's get straight on with those. So yes, with 1.0 now being in experimentals, some of the smaller changes that will be coming with the update are beginning to be revealed by Harvester and the other developers over at Squad. Harvester in this week's dev notes has said, another pretty busy week here. The camera wobble system is set up and operational and scalable for internal and external views separately. In preparation for the impending experimentals phase, I've been going over several items which I had on my list, which I felt had to either get added now or get pushed aside. The main menu load game dialogue now shows funds, science and reputation, as applicable depending on the game type, for each game, as well as the number of active flights and contracts. This next change I really like. The physics bubble for vessels is no longer always set to 2.5 kilometers. Those values are now defined separately for each possible situations, so we now keep vessels in the atmosphere or in suborbital trajectories loaded up to 22.5 kilometers away. This means that falling debris can now easily hit the ground or KSC facilities during launch. Other vessels can re-enter with you and actually hit the surface. Quite a few interesting things. I absolutely love this new feature, because in case you haven't actually tried it before, reusable stages are a big part of Kerbal Space Program. When you detach it and have a parachute on the boosters, similarly to how the space shuttle used to operate, when you recover the boosters you get some funds, but because of this physics bubble that you run into, they are deleted as debris soon after you actually ditch them, once you get beyond 2.5 kilometers away from them during your launch. So increasing this lets them hit the ground. It also adds an extra layer of jeopardy in case you do drop a spent stage over the Space Center and end up destroying the vehicle assembly building. That wouldn't be particularly good, so you're going to have to be a lot more careful with your staging from now on. And finally, which you've probably already noticed this change, some of you eagle-eyed people among you, it says, I've added a basic set of custom cursors as well. Operating system default cursors in a game just scream unfinished. Although it was a minor addition, I couldn't help but notice how everyone noticed it. So I'm going to put on the screen here now a picture of the cursor. Sorry it's a little bit pixelated, it's just I really had to crop this. Now if you saw the picture of the satellite a little bit earlier on, you would have seen this cursor already in the top left hand corner. I think it looks pretty cool. Personally I didn't have much of a problem with the operating system, the default Windows cursor being in there, but I don't mind this new cursor. I think it's nice, I think it's simple. But like I say, what do you guys think of these changes? I want to know what you think of the new physics bubble. I think that this is an amazing change. What do you think of the new cursor? What do you think of the new little tweaks that they're adding into 1.0? Leave it all in the comments down below. I usually read all of them. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this week's KSP News Show, guys. Sorry if it's basically a load of quickfire information just fired at you at machine gun-like pace. I've really not got a lot of time to make this episode this week because I'm back to school tomorrow, which absolutely sucks, but hey, I'll talk about that in another separate video, probably going to be out at some point this week. But until then, guys, my name is Jinley Kerman. Remember to like and subscribe for more, and as always, stay classy.